Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know, my name is Yanika and today we are talking emergency funds. An emergency fund is exactly as it sounds. It's money that you have put aside to cover those unexpected emergencies. And why you would want to have that money set aside is to cover things like a job loss or medical expenses, car problems, or even your phone or laptop breaking. An emergency fund set in place will help you cover those things without having to go into credit card debt or taking out any type of personal loans. It really gives you that sense of security that you can actually pay your bills without having to make bad financial decisions to do so. Think about if you were to lose your job today, would you be able to say that you can pay your bills? Going on that vacation to Mexico is not an emergency. Getting that new iPhone upgrade, not an emergency. That new shoes that you see, not an emergency. Birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, none of those are emergencies. For it to be considered an emergency, it must be unexpected, urgent, and a necessity. If it's not any of those things, it's not an emergency and you need to just budget or save for it. And I'll link my budgeting video below for those who need help with that. How much you have in your emergency fund really depends on a variety of things like your lifestyle and your cost of living, whether you're single or you have a family or maybe someone in the family is sick a lot. It's a variety of factors that plays into how much you want to put in your emergency fund. But I personally highly recommend at the bare minimum 1 month of living expenses. What you really want to have is 3 to 6 months of living expenses, but I would say if I had to give a bare minimum, at least have 1 month of living expense. How many of you are living that paycheck to paycheck cycle, and if you lost your job today, you have no idea how your bills are going to get paid, or maybe you're just going to put it on your credit card, or maybe you're going to borrow some money. But if you put that emergency fund 1 month in place, then at least for the next month, you know that your bills are covered. You don't actually have to start at 1 month. Start small. Start at like $500 or $1,000 and work your way up to 1 month of living expense. Then work your way up to 3 months of living expense. And then you can decide how large and what's comfortable for you as far as an emergency fund. But I highly recommend for every grown adult to have 1 month of living expense set aside for those unexpected emergencies. There are a variety of things that you can do to get started on your emergency fund, but the first thing you want to do is get on a budget. It starts with the budget, you guys. Get on a budget. You can actually go through your budget at first and see where you can make some budget cuts to add to your emergency fund. That's the first and easiest way to get money to put towards this emergency fund. You also could pick up a part-time job, so Uber, Lyft, Postmates, maybe it's a server at a restaurant, or even doing hair or makeup, or maybe you're a barber on the side. Like any little thing you can do to gather some extra cash that can be used to help save towards an emergency fund. And you can also sell things. I'm pretty sure most of you have things in your closet and things in your apartment or house that you don't actually use and you don't actually need. You can actually sell it and use that money to put towards your emergency fund. The tax season is coming up. I know a lot of people who live that paycheck to paycheck life typically get a pretty larger tax refund than most people who don't live the paycheck to paycheck life, because you guys haven't quite learned how to manage not having the government keep all of your money. But if you are living that paycheck to paycheck life and you get a large tax refund, that is the perfect way to get an emergency fund. If you get, let's say, $2,000 and you want to just put $1,000 in an emergency fund, that's the perfect way to start. If you get a pay raise or a bonus from your job, the perfect way to start. If even you're investing in a 401k or a Roth IRA or something, you can temporarily stop that until you can save up your emergency fund and start back. That's another good way. But whatever you can do to create this extra fund, get started, you guys. I promise you, having that emergency fund really reduces stress financially and gives you that peace of mind. Like, you're going to be okay. You are going to be okay. Once you save your emergency fund, you want to keep it somewhere that's easy to access. So you can keep it cash, but I do not recommend keeping it cash because most people are probably gonna spend cash that they see, right? But you can keep your emergency fund in cash. You can put it in a checking or a savings account. Again, if you're one of those people who feel like you're gonna just see the money and spend it, you can put it in a bank account that's separate from your actual bank account. Or you can just put it in a money market account as well. Whatever you do, just make sure that it's somewhere easy to access. It's not money that you want to invest and tie up in stocks and bonds or anything like that. And some of you may be thinking, well, why would I just have money sitting there not making me money? Well, the emergency fund is not meant to make you money. It's not investment money. It's not none of that. It's just, think of it as insurance. Insurance, what does it do? It protects you, right? So that's what an emergency fund does. If you were to lose your job today, ask yourself, would you be able to pay your bills? Would you want the money that you have tied up in stocks or a 401k or something? Would you want to go pull that money out to cover those bills? No. When I first started with my emergency fund, I started with just $1,000, and that $1,000 has actually never been touched. I've had emergencies over the years, but I haven't had to touch my emergency fund. Now, of course, I've grown it since then from $1,000, but when I first started, I started small because at the time, $1,000 was able to cover 1 month of my living expenses. And I never had to touch that money. I still to this day, I've never had to actually touch my emergency fund. It's just there as protection. It's there as just in case. And don't get me wrong, I've had quite a few emergencies, but what I end up doing is just cutting some things out of my budget and using that extra money to cover those emergencies that come up. But having the emergency fund there, it just always, whenever something pops up, I'm always like, I'm straight, I'm good, like I ain't even worried about it, because I know that at all times I have a healthy little bit of savings set aside to cover those things that, you know, come up and they're unexpected and you need to pay for it right now. I know that I'm always going to be able to cover those things. Now, of course, it's not going to cover any super large medical expense. If you don't have like $50,000 set aside to cover a $50,000 expense, nothing is wrong with that. But at least having a couple months living expense will just give you that security. And especially for my people living that paycheck to paycheck life, that emergency fund will make you feel like you're actually working towards something. Like, it makes you feel like you're working towards something and not working just to go to work, because that's what a lot of people do these days. They're just working just to go to work. But having that emergency fund set up give you that sense that your money is actually going somewhere and you're not just working just to work. You know what I mean? And then you can start hitting all your personal finance goals, you guys. It really gives you that peace of mind and it gives you that sense of security.